Everybody? What's going on? I hope all of y'all are doing fan-freaking-tastic out there. I know I am, because today is the day I'm filming my third Q&A video. My second one was last year, and our first one was a few years before that, so you know what? I might make this an annual thing, alright? So, I've got plenty of questions ready from 11 different people, and that 11th person sent me about 14 questions. 14 questions. I'm not going to answer all of them because some of them was a repeat question and some of them I just don't want to answer. At least not here on the video, but next time I'll see them in person, I'll ask them. I'll answer them then. But yeah, so let's go and answer some of these. Okay. So yeah, the first question comes from the humanoid freak who asks, "Why is the rum gone?"
Why is the rum gone?
Well, you see, there was this one pirate and this one lady stranded on an island many decades ago. And that lady, she burned a whole bunch of the rum because she needed to make an entire smoke signal go up thousands of feet up into the air. So, yeah, the rum is gone because she burned it.
But why is the rum gone?
Don't overthink it, Jack. Don't. Alright, next up, Chris Vallow wants to know who is better, Chris Vallow or Plank? I don't know, Plank, what do you think? I know what would be the answer. So, yeah. Next up, Brenda Law wants to know, in Ghostface voice,
what's your favorite scary movie?
I would say it would have to be Nightmare on Elm Street 4, without a doubt. Alright, next up, Rob Killjoy from The Ugly Ducklings asks, who was your favorite wrestler growing up, and why did you want to start wrestling? Alright, so my favorite wrestler growing up is still my favorite wrestler today, and that has always been The Undertaker. There was something about his size, his mystique, his entrance. At a young age, The Undertaker, he should have frightened me. But I just thought he was so cool back then. So, the Undertaker, without a doubt, is my favorite wrestler of all time. And I wanted to start wrestling because, like, originally I didn't want to be a wrestler. You know, I just loved it. Alright? But I think I wanted to become a wrestler. It was in 2011, maybe 2012, one of those. Originally, I wanted to be an author. Like, I wanted to write books for a living, right? But looking back, all I wrote was just a whole bunch of fan fiction. Just a whole bunch of Ernest P. Worrell fan fiction. But it wasn't until I started thinking more and more about it that somehow or another I needed to become a wrestler. I mean, heck, I loved it a lot. So there was no other alternative, you know? I needed to become a wrestler. That's just the way I felt about it. Alright. So, next, my friend Derek Thompson wants to ask me, what would be your team of 6 Pokemon? Now, even though I'm not that big of a Pokemon fan, I'm not that big of a Pokemon fan, I'm not that big of a Pokemon fan.
How dare you? How dare you?
At least as far as the show goes, or the card game goes. Shortly after the first generation, I clocked out of it. Because I saw where this was going, and sure enough, it did go that route. I was a fan of the original 150. Alright? But then they started adding more, and more, and more, and more, and more. And I think they're like right over the 800 limit at this point. So, but despite all of that though, I was still playing the Game Boy Advance or the Game Boy Color Pokemon game, like the classic original one. Most of y'all know what I'm talking about. Um, when I would pick my team of 6 Pokemon, I would try to make sure that I would have a Pokemon there for at least one of every element. So, for Rock, I had Onix. That's my favorite Pokemon ever. Water, Gyarados. Psychic, I had Gengar. Electric, I think I had Voltorb, but I think nowadays I might want to pick Electabuzz instead. I definitely got to have Charizard for fire. Can't go wrong with the big fire-breathing dragon. And because, of course, I like wrestling, definitely got to have Machoke. Or is it Machamp? Whatever one it is with the forearms. Alright. Next, Smallfry wants to ask, why did I start my channel? And why do I call my fans the Self-Standard Soldiers? Alright, so the reason I started this channel, SSP Self-Standard Programming, was because I wanted to be a creative dude. I wanted an excuse to put my wild, crazy, and weird imagination and personality out there. When I heard the word channel, I was thinking of TV channel. Alright. So, about a couple of years before 2014, like I said, I used to write books a lot, right? And writing books and writing fan fiction was my main source of getting my creativity out there. You know? Getting my wild imagination from thought onto paper. Alright? And once I hit a big writer's block, I just couldn't write books anymore. So, as far as creativity goes, I had nothing. So, one thing led to another, and I started filming stuff on my James Self Standard account, and about a couple months after that, I started getting lazy with it and unproductive with it. But D6, he inspired me to go back to YouTube, start over, and that's how this channel was created. So, yeah, I created this channel so, one, so I could have a creative outlet, so I can have fun here on the internet and showcase my creativity. And the other one was because my brother, he started wrestling at the time, and I didn't want to admit it back then, but I was feeling very jealous of my brother. So I needed to create a stage with my own spotlight. I needed to do something to work on my own fan base to get my own name out there. Alright, so yeah, that's a few reasons why I had to start this channel. Hopefully that answered your question pretty well. And why do I call my fans the Self-Standard Soldiers? Alright, so Hulk Hogan, he has the Hulkamaniacs. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he has the millions and millions of The Rock's fans, the people. Ultimate Warrior, he has all the little warriors. Me, I know I needed to call my fans and my supporters something. Alright, so I was sitting there thinking, what can I call my fans, you know? So, I went to the Sickest Nation group page on Facebook, and I just simply put it out there, what should I call my fans, right? And this one person in there, I think his name was Ramis Khan, suggested the Self-Standard Soldiers. And you know what? That was a good idea. So, I was calling my fans the Self-Standard Soldiers because a group of people could be called an army. And my army could be filled with the Self-Standard Soldiers. Technically, anybody can be a self-standard if they just live up to the standards of themselves. But if anybody is being a self-standard and supporting me, though, they're called the Self-Standard Soldiers, right? And surprisingly, I am not the general of the Self-Standard Soldier Army. I'm not. I'm just another Self-Standard Soldier like the rest of you. And because I'm a Christian, I call my general God. Yeah, God is the definite general for the Self-Standard Soldier Army. So, yeah, thank you, Wayme's Con, for that name. Alright, next, Cam H asks, who would be in my zombie apocalypse team? I can choose up to 4 people. He told me that I can pick some characters as well, but just for the sake of survival, just for the sake of not being unfair to the zombies, I'm going to pick some mildly real people to be on my team of zombie apocalypse. So it's going to be a team of 5 people with my choice of 4. Alright, so without a doubt, I definitely need the Undertaker on my team.
I will not rest in peace.
Alright, I freaking love the Undertaker. Like I said earlier, I freaking love the Undertaker. And I do not want to know that Undertaker himself turned into a zombie. Alright? Plus, he's kind of a dead man already, so maybe he could fit right in with the zombies. Who knows? But either way, I just don't want to find out that Undertaker turned into a legit member of the undead, and we have to end up shooting him. So we need to protect Undertaker at all costs. Alright, next up, I'm going to pick 50 Cent.
Go shorty, it's your birthday. We gon' party like it's your birthday.
Now, 50 Cent, he isn't exactly my favorite rapper, but he's alright. 50 Cent is pretty cool. But years ago, after he got shot a few times and still survived, 50 Cent has some good survival tactics on his side. So, 50 Cent, he's a pretty tough individual, I must say. So, yeah, because I want some good music in my presence, and because I want a tough dude that can survive pretty well on my side, I want 50 Cent on the team as well. Alright, next up, I want Bruce Campbell, aka Ash Williams.
Groovy.
So, the only difference between Bruce Campbell and Ash Williams is that Ash is just a teeny tiny bit more dumber than Bruce Campbell. Okay? And look, I'm pretty sure that if push come to shove in a real zombie apocalypse, Ash would have no problem, Bruce would have no problem sacrificing one hand to save the world from some real zombies. You know what I'm saying? He can definitely have a good chainsaw for a hand in real life if he wanted to. All he really needs is a chainsaw and a shotgun, or a boomstick, if you will, and he's good. So, if he can survive the Evil Dead pretty well, I'm pretty sure that Bruce Campbell with the chainsaw and a boomstick would definitely help us get through the zombie apocalypse pretty well. Alright. And now, my last person on the zombie apocalypse team, you might call this a celebrity crush, if you will. You might call this a pick out of Feeling Thirsty, if you want to. But let's say, hypothetically speaking, this zombie apocalypse did happen. Alright? And let's say, hypothetically speaking, that humanity is doomed. Alright? Yet somehow or another, all the zombies are gone. Like, the earth has become a barren wasteland. And all of a sudden, the only survivors are me, Taker, 50 Cent, Bruce, and this next person, right? We need to find a way to, populate the earth with human life again. So, we definitely need a woman on the team. And what woman am I talking about? Miranda Cosgrove.
Sometimes I'm bored. sassy.
I loved Miranda Cosgrove in both iCarly and Drake and Josh. And if Drake and Josh was any indication, Megan can certainly be very sadistic in a way. So yeah, that's my team. Me, Undertaker, 50 Cent, Bruce Campbell, Miranda Cosgrove. Alright. Next up, Cam H also asks, how much money would someone have to pay me in order for me to try smoking a hit of crack? Now look, never have I ever had any intention of smoking or drinking. Never have I ever had any intention to, or any desire to want to pick up a cigarette or to start vaping. I've never had that desire. Never have I ever wanted to take a sip of booze or alcohol or beer or anything to that effect. Right? I want to remain straight edge as long as I can. If it's for my entire life, good. But peer pressure can be a hard thing. But now when you put the almighty dollar in front of it over something like crack of all drugs, and last time I checked, I didn't know you smoked crack unless it was like from a crack pipe. Yeah, I think it's a crack pipe, but I was getting crack and cocaine confused because I think you gotta like snort crack in a way through the nostrils, but oh well. I don't want that one little hit to turn me into an addict. Alright, I'm not sure what it's going to do to me. So, hypothetically speaking, let's assume that I get addicted to it, okay? So, if I want more and more of it, then I think 10 grand might cover it. Yeah, 10 grand might cover it. That might be a good 5,000 to cover up more dosages, or an extra 5,000 to help get me into rehab and get my life back in order. Hopefully 10K would cover it. Alright. So, next up, Skippy Tallgrass has asked, have I ever made money from YouTube? Not directly from YouTube itself, but there has been subscribers and supporters that has paid me in the past via PayPal and once thanks to my Teespring account. So, yeah, YouTube has paid me indirectly. The people who watch me on YouTube has paid me before, but not the website itself. Alright, next up, Man asked, the Man Cometh has asked, what is the most scared I have ever been in my entire life? So here's a very bad question. Alright, I think the most recent one had to be in 2015, I believe. It was early January 2015, if I remember correctly. I think it was like the weekend right before the Royal Rumble that year, if I'm not mistaken. I was working at APW that night as the ring announcer and the music player as usual. And all of a sudden somebody's coming backstage and said, we got to get home right now. When I get back home, I noticed that there's an ambulance in front of my Aunt Jeanette's house. And my stepdad, he comes out and says, my Aunt Pat just died on Jeanette's couch. And I was very shocked. I was not ready for that. I was totally not ready for that. Okay, and when I was a lot younger, living in this house that I'm recording from now, I was used to a certain lifestyle because of a certain crop of people that would always be in here. Okay? I was used to my grandfather, my grandmother, my Aunt Pat on occasion, even though she just lived right up the road too. She was down here a lot. And my Uncle Ray. Alright. And first, my grandma, she died in 2003. Then came my Uncle Ray in 2011. My grandfather, he died in 2013. And then Pat, she died in 2015. Alright. So when Pat died, that was the final nail in the coffin. Anybody who I was used to seeing in this house, as far as family goes, they weren't living here no more. So, whatever I was used to, it was gone. But the scariest part about that night was after the show was over, I was told that Pat was put on a pacemaker or pacemaker, whatever it's called, and she was being hooked up to a ventilator at the hospital. I'm not quite sure what happened. But I was told that there was going to be a chance that she might survive. Alright. But I was laying there trying my best to sleep even though I knew I couldn't. Then my stepdad walks back into the room, wakes me up, and tells me it has been confirmed. My Aunt Pat has passed away. So that laying in bed, hoping and praying and wishing that it wasn't over for her, not knowing if it would really be it or not, that suspense was really the scariest part of my life that I can think about. Alright. Man also asked, what is one single decision that changed your life? Even though the life hasn't exactly changed yet, I think my decision to move might have been the one that is changing my life. Because for those of you who don't know, I have decided to move out of town to go live with my brother, who's claiming that once I do, my life is going to make a very, very, very drastic change from what I've been used to. So, yeah, my decision to move is probably the biggest decision of my life. And I'm just observing some things here locally. And once I feel as if the time is right, that's when I'm going to go. So, yeah. Next up, Solitaire asked me, if I could have a restaurant franchise, which one would it be, where would I want to have it, and why? And he has told me that it can be a restaurant chain that's already in existence. So, I would have to say Golden Corral. Yeah, Golden Corral. I think I've only been to Golden Corral maybe twice or thrice in recent memory. 4 times at the max. And I say Golden Corral because how could you hate an all-you-can-eat buffet? Alright? And as far as where it should be everywhere. Every single city. Every single city globally. That's where it should be. Every town deserves a Golden Corral. Every town. All of them. Alright, so the next person, the last person, his name is Dale. Alright? And this relationship that I have with Dale is my brother's soon-to-be brother-in-law. Not quite sure what relationship that makes me, but oh well. Yeah, he sent me 14 questions, but like I said, I'm not going to answer all of them. Alright, the first question I'm going to answer for him is, how can I find out my weight in Krabby Patties? I don't know. I mean, I don't know my exact weight in Krabby Patties, but I assume it's a lot. It's got to be a lot. Alright. Next, he asked me, what is your best memory growing up? I would have to say it was for a field trip I took when I was in middle school. Right? I think it was probably the 7th grade. Yeah, I think it was the 7th grade. I was in Miss Wood's class, and Miss Woods, she was promoting this field trip to Carowinds, right? Yet the thing about this field trip to Carowinds, though, it was free for anybody that would just behave. Alright? And the other special thing about this field trip was that out of all the dates it could be scheduled on, it was scheduled on my birthday. Of all the days they scheduled a free trip or a free field trip to Carowinds on my birthday. Alright? So I went to Carowinds that day, had fun, and then after the field trip was over, we went to this Chinese buffet in Rock Hill, and I think it's called Amber's now, and we had a good meal there, and that was the first and only day I ever got to eat octopus. Amber's does not serve octopus now. But while I was sitting there having my meal, the whole class just burst out singing happy birthday. It was incredible. Next, he asked me, "Who told you that you could sing? You can't. Ha ha." Well, you see, the thing is, it's not the fact of whether or not I can sing. It's the fact of whether or not I should. Should I sing? Probably not. Will I sing? Probably. Alright. Next, he asked me, the Kingdom Cringe match was epic. Will there be more of them in the future? If the circumstances are there, maybe. Maybe. I wouldn't mind doing another Cringe Kingdom Combat match. But the first one was like so good, I'm not quite sure how the heck I would try to outdo myself. Alright. Next, he asked me if I move, will I still continue to wrestle live? Of course. Next, he asked me, how fast can I run? Enough. Next, he asked me, did you know I can run 1.25 miles of 3 seconds? That's a lie. Well, I guess I know now that you can't, because he just said that's a lie. 12, he asks, who was your childhood hero? Definitely Jim Vernay, Ernest P. Worrell. If it wasn't for Jim, my sense of creativity would not exist. Not at all. Next, he asked me, be honest. Do you think I'm sexy? I'm bringing it back. Well, first of all, I'm not quite sure sexy ever got lost to begin with. But if you're the one bringing it back, then congratulations. I'm sure Justin Timberlake has some kind of a issue with that. Alright, and lastly, he asked, where can I buy a can of whoop butt? I think it has to be in Bakersfield at the Green Frog Market. But I heard that place got shut down. But for those of you that don't know, that was the same supermarket or the same grocery store that Stone Cold attacked Booker T. So, yeah, I think it was in that one. So, yeah, guys, that's been my third Q&A. I hope I gave everybody some good information about myself and everything else. Hopefully I answered these questions pretty well. And until next time, make sure all of you remember to be outrageously optimistic year around. Booyah! I'm out.